call. Welcome to the Business Outlook Survey press conference call. My name is Catherine Dibling, Public Affairs Specialist with the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. And with me today is Mike Trebbing, Senior Economic Analyst in the bank's Research Department. Today we will take questions from reporters about what our manufacturers had to say about business activity in their firms in February. First, Mike will give a brief summary. Mike?
Thanks, Kathy. Good morning. The indicators from our February survey of manufacturing firms suggest that weakness in the region's manufacturing sector is continuing. Following reported gains late last year, our indexes for general activity and new orders have recorded negative readings the last 2 months. A slight rise in shipments was one positive sign this month, along with an apparent stabilization of labor market conditions among the reporting firms. The survey's price indicators suggest that cost pressures continue a trend of moderation, and the survey's future indicators for activity and new orders reflecting the firm's outlook over the next 6 months edge slightly higher, suggesting that firms think recent declines will be short-lived. Moreover, in special questions this month, firms indicated that they expect positive growth in production over the first quarter of this year, and that new orders and shipments are expected to rise over the next 6 months.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Questions? Stephen Joyce of BNA.
I've got 2 questions. The first is, how much of the survey, particularly this month and last month, do you think is sort of a snapshot of what's happening right now versus a more broad and longer trend of what seems to be some improvement in the survey, and particularly in light of the special questions? And the second question is, the labor surveys or indicators, seem to be segregated in some ways. They're improving, yet the trend of the survey this month was down. Can you comment on that too? Thanks.
Yeah. Well, the indicators are intended to measure just change month to month. So in as much as they're directed at just changes over a short period of time, they say less about the trends unless we see negative readings over lengths of time or positive readings over lengths of time. Sometimes the 6-month forecast can give us some information about improvement and optimism, et cetera. And in that regard, we're seeing some inching up of the expectations, at least looking forward. And that's borne out, I think, with regard to your question about employment. Although we've seen, negative readings on activity and new orders the last few months, this month we saw a little bit of an improvement on the labor number. A slightly positive number. So, in as much as firms' hiring decisions have something to do with forecasts of the future, that's one element of optimism, I think. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's my general picture of things.
Let me just take another question, if I may, about the labor conditions. So, what you're telling me is that the labor conditions, those 2 indicators are just one indicant of an improvement, but the general trend is negative. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Well, I think in the short run, we've seen two negative readings on orders and activities suggesting declines. Although the share of firms that are reporting increases is hasn't changed a whole lot. It's just that the balance between the increases and decreases will sometimes drive these diffusion indexes in the short run. And as I mentioned in the opening statement, we actually saw some positive shipments number again this month, and that number hasn't gone negative. So sometimes you have to look at the balance of all of the indicators together to get a good read, or so that you don't overreact to a single number.
Okay, and pardon me, Kathy, if I may. So the indicator for the last 2 months, even though it's negative, you're telling me that it might be a short run negative versus sort of a longer-term trend positive?
Yeah, I think you could read it that way, and the special questions were intended to give us a little bit more reading on the production forecast for the first quarter, and over that first quarter we still had expectations of a positive growth in production in the first quarter compared to the fourth quarter. Many of those firms indicated that it was due to seasonal variation, but also the ones that said it was change in business conditions. They indicated that they were expecting a little bit of growth in the first quarter, but on balance, the firm said it was an acceleration over what they've achieved in the fourth quarter. So those statistics also add a little bit of information about the underlying trend, if you will. We're not seeing those expectations of growth are not large production increases, but they are positive.
Thanks for your responses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, questions. Kathleen Madigan, Dow Jones.
Well, I have to say the negative 12.5 was unexpected. Did any of the responses indicate that federal uncertainty may be driving the deterioration in business conditions?
Yeah, I'd see the comments are somewhat useful in that regard.
You cut out. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I could say that the comments are useful in that regard, and they were pretty evenly balanced between those that we're seeing increases and decreases, and in terms of industries too, that's the case. But I have to say that the number of comments about uncertainty going forward were a little bit higher this time. I'm not sure why.
A little bit higher?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are prominent in many of the comments we get from firms month to month, but and sometimes they're not always consistent with the indexes, but on balance, uncertainty still is something that's on the mind of these firms.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I heard someone else come on the call. Any questions from them? Okay, Stephen Joyce, any follow-up?
Nope, thank you.
Kathy, it's Ellen at Reuters.
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. I'd like to follow up on that last question.
Surely.
The comments about uncertainty, were they focused on the federal government, or were they focused on the uncertainty of demand in the future?
A little bit of both, I'd say. We're reading about 30 comments or so it's hard to even indicate what the trend in those verbal comments are. That's why we rely so much on the indexes. But they ran the gamut from tax uncertainty to fiscal decisions and also the demand conditions in the growing areas, housing and reconstruction from the hurricane and those kind of things. So those are all the kinds of comments we receive from these manufacturers in this region.
I take it that there were no specific comments, noting specifically sequestration or the impact of sequestration cuts on the economy.
I don't recall any. They were more general statements in regard to those kind of things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions? Okay.
None for me.
Thank you. You've just been listening to February's Business Outlook Survey press conference call. My name is Catherine Dibling, Public Affairs Specialist with the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. And with me today has been Mike Trebbing, Senior Economic Analyst. We will release March's Business Outlook Survey on March 21st at 10 a.m.